What's up, everybody? So this is going to be a competitive guide on the #1 most used Pokemon in the first month of Scarlet and Violet, one of the brand new Paradox forms of donphan, Great Tusk. So let's not waste any time and get into Great Tusk ground fighting typing, actually the first ever ground fighting Pokemon. And defensively, ground fighting is honestly, it's not great. You do get a few good resistances in the all-important electric immunity, but ground and fighting don't really complement each other defensively at all. You keep all of the weaknesses from both types, so it's just, it's not the best defensively. But offensively, totally different story. Ground fighting offensively is amazing, and that dual step alone, like, it packs up most of the OU metagame currently. And Great Tusk has coverage for the very few things that don't get hit by ground and fighting right now. Especially with the limited amount of good flying types available in Gen 9 right now, Great Tusk is super hard to switch into. Now looking at Great Tusk's stats, and ooh, they hooked him up big time. So first we have 115 HP, which is very good. And on top of that, you also get 131 attack and 131 defense, which is just amazing. With 131 attack, you're extremely strong, especially with the high base power stabs that Great Tusk has, which we'll get into in a bit. But 131 defense with 115 HP is just ridiculous physical bulk. This thing can check almost every physical Pokemon, and while we do have 53 special defense, which is pretty bad, the HP helps it a bit, but I can't lie, like, really strong special attackers can definitely still do like big damage to Tusk if you're not investing into the special defense. So I mean, that's like the one flaw really when you look at the stats. The speed is 87, which is actually pretty decent. It's good enough. It puts us 3 points faster than Goldengo, which is another really common Pokemon right now. So I mean, overall the stat distribution, it's good. It's kind of like something like Melmetal, but a little less tanky and way faster. Like 87 is like an actual workable speed tier. So yeah, these stats are just really good, even with the Spidef being whack. As for the ability, we have Photosynthesis, which is the same ability that all the past Paradox forms get. This ability gives you a boost to your highest stat if you're in Sun. It is a 50% boost if the highest stat is Speed. If it's anything else, it is 30%. You can also proc this ability with the item Booster Energy, and you don't have to be in Sun if you have Booster Energy, but you will only be able to use it one time. Like, Booster Energy is a consumable item. I mean, this ability it's fine. There's not much to say. It's the same as all the other guys. You need the item or you need Sun to proc it, but in the situations you proc it, obviously it could be really threatening. Looking at some sets for Great Tusk, Tusk is a Pokemon that you can put on any team because of its roll compression and its versatility. Even with similar moves on most sets, there's so many different directions you can go with it. It really is like the new Landorus of this generation in many ways. First off though, we'll look at a very consistent all-out attacking set. First move here is Rapid Spin, and this is a move you will almost always want to run on Great Tusk, as it's probably the best hazard removing option we have in the game currently. That alongside its fellow donphan form, Iron Treads. With Goldengo in the tier making removing hazards incredibly hard, other removal options such as Corviknight and Scissor that struggle against Goldengo can be a lot less effective at times. But even then though, Goldengo is immune to our Rapid Spin, so we're not guaranteed to get hazards off against Goldengo, but we can pressure it heavily with the threat of our ground stabs and knockoff. Which is knockoff is good more so if you're playing against a balloon variant of Goldengo, but like it's good that we can actually like threaten and kill this Pokemon. It's not like Corviknight where yes, Corviknight has defog, but Corviknight can't do anything to Goldengo unless it's like bulk up Power Trip or something. But like, that's why this is such a good Rapid Spinner right now. But also, looking at our ground options, there's, Old Reliable, there's Earthquake, as well as the brand new move, Headlong Rush. So Headlong Rush is a 120 base power ground move that lowers both of your defenses, so basically it's just a ground type version of Close Combat. Earthquake is a decent bit weaker at 100 BP, but 100 BP is still strong. And not lowering your defenses is good if you need Great Tusk to take some hits. Because there's definitely been situations I've been in with Headlong where like I Headlong and then I die because I drop my defenses. So not having to deal with that with Earthquake is it's definitely pretty good, even though it's not as strong as Headlong. But if you want to go Headlong, that's fine, because Headlong is just so powerful, especially for the more offensive oriented Great Tusk sets. Like Headlong Rush is definitely a legit option. On top of that, we also have Close Combat. Close Combat is Close Combat. That's our strongest fighting move. And Knockoff as well is an amazing move that very few Pokemon get access to anymore. It's just an overall good option. But Ice Spinner is something you can run instead, because Ice Spinner is good for Dragonite, which is a Pokemon that a lot of teams rely on right now to check Great Tusk. And it's also good to hit like a lot of the emergency flying Terra Pokemon you'll see, because a lot of times it's like a lot of teams are weak to Great Tusk, so they'll just have like, oh, I'll just have flying Garganacl or flying Annihilate or flying, you know, Goldango even, as my like soft check to Great Tusk. So having Spinner to be able to hit all of those mons is good as well. Also nice to blow up like Garchomp and stuff. Like both of these are good options. You can't really go wrong either way. You can run Leftovers. It's a good, consistent item. I've been running a lot of Assault Vest recently to patch up the poor Spadef. I like it even on like offensive Great Tusks, because a lot of the times I'm running Vortex anyway, so I might as well just get like a 50% Spadef boost. And it could definitely help me in a pinch. But you could even just go like Careful Nature with Max Spadef if you want to, because even with 53 special defense, if you max out the special defense and put an AV on it, you know, that combined with the 115 HP, you could take on a lot of special attackers 1v1. I've also seen stuff like Heavy Duty Boots, despite it being a rock resist, just because of how prominent spikes are right now and because of like Lamora T spikes and stuff. You know, a boot spinner is always going to be like a pretty good option. There's just so many different good options for Tusk right now. It's great. It's really good. Looking at some other options, there's Booster Energy, which combined with Photosynthesis will give you that boost that we talked about earlier. Usually you're going to want the boost to be for your attack, which combined with the Rapid Spin Speed boost gives Great Tusk some sweeping potential. Obviously, if you have to switch out at any point, you will lose your boost and be effectively itemless for the rest of the game. But Booster can still be like really scary. You can actually get a speed boost instead if you go Max Speed Jolly with no attack EVs, but I don't think that's quite as good, as you lose a lot of power. I personally haven't really been using Booster at all. I'd rather just put it on a Sun team, because Sun is just pretty good right now, and I don't have to worry about switching out and losing the power. But, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like it's definitely hard to switch into Booster Energy Great Tusk. Like Booster's still scary for sure. You could also just run choice items on this if you want. You don't really see a lot of like choice Great Tusk right now, but Scarf is faster than, you know, Dragapult and Shampoo and Meowscarada and everything. So it definitely has some cleanup potential. And Bandit has very few switch-ins, but these are obviously a little bit more prediction reliant, and I do think there's better options than choice on Great Tusk right now, but I'm not going to say that the Pokemon with great coverage and 131 attack can abuse a choice item. Now, this set here is the one I've used the most outside of AV, which is just straight up max physically defensive Great Tusk. This set here can take hits from pretty much any physical attacker in the game. Like, the most threatening physical Pokemon to you would be like Qianpao, since it has effectively 175 attack with its ability Sword of Ruin and can hit you with super effective stab ice moves. And if it's running Heavy Duty Boots Ice Spinner, it's a roll to 2-hit KO you. Even Bandit can't one-shot you. To guarantee a one-shot on you, it would literally have to be like Terra Ice Adamant Banded Qianpao with Icicle Crash. Like, that's how ridiculously tanky Fizdef Great Tusk is. Stuff like Banded Roaring Moon Outrage does not 2-hit KO you. Stuff like Max Attack Normal E-Speed from Dragonite is a 5-hit KO. Like, I could go on and on about this thing, but like it just checks so many physical Pokemon. And with access to Stab Body Press off of a 397 defense at level 100, this set isn't even passive. It still hits extremely hard. You could run this as a rocker too. Like a lot of people think about Tusk as a spinner, but it's still one of the best rockers in a tier. Like, you could run Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin with dual stab, or you could drop one of those moves and run Knock Off or a different coverage move. You could even run Bulk Up as if you weren't tanky and strong already. Like, there's so much you could do even with Fizdef Tusk, and that's the thing with Great Tusk. Every single set has so many variations, like with items, with spreads, with moves. Like, this thing really can be tailor-made for any team. Now, looking at Terra options, ground and fighting are fine options because they just let you hit even stronger with your stabs. And flying is a fine option too because you're going to have a Great Tusk, and there's a decent chance that your opponent also has a Great Tusk because everyone's using him right now. So obviously for the non Ice Spinner Stone Edge variants, flying Great Tusk is good for the mirror. But I would say generally, Steel is going to be the best defensive Terra option. You have 6 weaknesses. And all of those weaknesses, except for water, get turned into resistances by transforming into a steel type. And even water becomes neutral. So, like, it just helps, like, it helps cover, like, the ground fighting type a lot by being able to go steel if you need to. So, I think that's just the best overall option on Great Tusk for Terra. As for other moves, we touched on it for a little bit, but yeah, Bulk Up's a great option. It's your best setup option. Coverage-wise, I would say Stone Edge is... I prefer Ice Spinner. I prefer to not rely on a coverage move that misses. But, like, I'm sure when some stuff like Buzzwole comes back into the tier that, like, Stone Edge will probably pick up a little bit. Taunt's kind of like a luxury on Great Tusk. It's a good option. Like, it definitely shuts down a lot of mons. But there's so many good moves you want to run on Tusk that I can't really say you'll find room to squeeze in Taunt, but if you're able to, it's pretty good as well. And you get a lot of other coverage options too, but I would say like stuff like Ice Spinner and Knockoff are generally better than them. But if you're in like a draft setting, like there's probably specific instances where like Iron Head or Play Rough or some other options could come into play. But yeah, Great Tusk really is the new Landorus Therian. He's just an amazing ground type that you could put on any team. He could be your hazard removal, he could be your hazard setter, he can knock off items, be a breaker, be a win condition with booster energy, an all-around physical check. Whatever you want Great Tusk to be for your team, he can do that. And that's why he's one of the best Pokemon in the metagame now, and why he'll probably continue to be one of the best Pokemon in the metagame for time to come. That's going to conclude this guide on Great Tusk. I'll be making guides on every single brand new Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet on this channel, so if you're interested in that or other Pokemon Scarlet and Violet content, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.